We are live. Hope you are doing well. We're going to have a chat today, just you and me, no one else, um, about all of this monkey business that people keep talking about. Obviously, I'm not a media channel like CNN, so I'm not allowed to have an opinion. So we'll use a couple of code words, and I've made a load of notes because I keep getting questions all the time about what's going on with this new thing going around. So we're going to have a chat about that today. I'll share a load of my thoughts, and obviously I've done a ton of research on this, as you would expect. So the first thing we've got to mention, because there's a lot of talk about all these new lockdowns coming, and I'll get into that very shortly. But the first thing you've got to understand is that COVID really set a precedent for vaccines and making a ton of money. Actually, there were more billionaires created just from all of these vax during COVID than you can even imagine. The amount of money created was absolutely insane. So it kind of sets a precedent for what is now going on. You've got to think about anyone who is in. Hello, yeah, I'm seeing all the messages. Hello, everyone. Hello, Alan, Stephen, etc. Um, right, so it kind of set this precedent. You've always got to remember you've got to follow the money all the time. So what happened? These vaccine companies created absolutely huge amounts of money. They say value, they created all this value. They actually didn't create value into society. They've actually done a lot of damage, as we're finding out now, a huge amount of damage. So they haven't created more GDP, they've actually destroyed GDP. So that is a lie that I keep seeing all the time. Even economists keep saying they created all this new GDP. It's a lie, they didn't. The other thing you've got to think about where they say that they created all this new money, that's also a lie, because what happened was governments didn't have the money to pay for all the vax that was created, because, a lot of people got double, triple, quadruple doses of this thing. As you all know, I don't care. I got zero and I never will get any. So there goes a few people off the stream there. Oh, you didn't get any of the vax. I'm off. Okay, good. So I got zero and I never will get any of these sort of things. So you know my views on this straight away. But I always like to look at the WHO, John Hopkins, all these other people to see what they are saying, or the vax companies as well. And as soon as I see what they're saying, I look into and I follow the money and I look at their biases and I see, okay, and again, you've got to look at who dictates to the WHO and all these other things. So with that said, and I've given you a little bit of context first and foremost, they've just set the highest form of alert. This isn't just an emergency, they've set it as a global emergency. Now, this is what I find really weird about it. And this was from the head of the WHO, their director. He said, I've been informed today, he's been informed, he's the head, to declare. So he's been informed, even though he's the head of the WHO, he's been informed to declare a public health emergency of global concern. He said that he has been advised that he should make this statement and that I should declare an emergency. Well, first of all, who's telling him that he should do this? And the other thing that's quite worrying is, remember that all the Western countries signed up to this new pandemic declaration. So that means that whatever the WHO decides, all of these other countries in the future, because they said, oh, we did such a bad job with COVID, that in the future, when they make this declaration, all the other Western countries will follow. And this is where it gets a little bit worrying. Honestly, I've watched, I don't even know how many videos of this and read all these different documents of all these doctors and all these experts. I could probably talk about this for hours, but I'm just going to keep this very, very simple. So the main thing then is that if they've said, if we declare a lockdown, that everybody will have to follow along. Well, not really. Am I going to follow along? No. If someone says to me, you have to lock down because a few people have, got these monkey dots. And that's a good way we can say it. Monkey dots. We'll say that. And remember, this has been completely rebranded as well. And there's different strains of it, so I'm not going to go into it. It's a DNA, not an RNA kind of strain, but there's different strains of this. And this has been completely rebranded. So it was called Monkey Dots, right, originally. But because it didn't get all the fear up that they wanted, they've now done this rebranding campaign, and they're bringing in the children. So you'll notice it's all about the children. They keep saying, children are getting it, children are dying, etc., etc. That's what it's all about now, because they've got to create this level of fear, because without the fear, people aren't going to go out and take this vax. And they're also doing something quite funny, which is what, anyone who sells products does. They say, oh, limited amount, there's only, I think they said 10,000 doses, and we need to declare a global emergency and get the investment in. They're saying governments aren't taking this seriously. This is what I keep seeing on the media. It's the same line over and over again. Governments aren't taking this seriously. Everyone will have to. Yeah, it says if everyone doesn't comply willingly, everyone will have to comply. So this is the other thing they keep saying. I'm going to keep going through all these notes because I've got loads and loads of loads and loads of notes. But it didn't scare anyone because, and I quote, they said that the only people that are getting infected with it are men that have sex with other men, right? That's what they kept saying. It was a really weird line, but they kept saying this over and over again. So it wasn't really scaring anyone. But now they're saying that the death rate is just through the roof. But actually, if you look at, there's different strains, but the one that's sort of spreading the most has a 99.99% survival rate. And remember, I got kicked off YouTube for saying that when COVID was going around, but it was something like 99.99%. That's why I said I wasn't going to get any of these vax for my age group, very healthy, etc. But that's what now there's different strains, obviously, some of them are more deadly, but again, how can you even measure that? This is in the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo. How do you know that 500 people have died of this? I mean, I don't know. Okay, what else did they say? Okay, so Wednesday, the 14th of August, they announced this as an emergency. That's what they said. They've now declared it as an emergency. They are talking about, they've been asked about lockdowns, and they said potentially we may have to do lockdowns in the future. We're not taking it off the table. That's what they've said. So that was the first thing. Mainly in Africa, fluid transitions, mainly between men who have sex with other men. They keep saying this over and over again, but they said they've now got 30,000 cases in the USA. There's cases in the UK, in the West. See, they have to declare this as a massive emergency in order to get people to take the vax. Where was this other thing I wanted to mention to you? We're just having a chilled out chat here today. I am not home because there's a motorbike race on, so I can't get into my house at the minute. Yeah, okay, there's another one. They said so some news agencies are saying there's 17,000 cases in the DRC. Others are saying 60,000. It's like, they haven't even got a correct measure on this. They said there's one case in Sweden now, another in the Philippines, but they're saying that they can't figure out how these people have got this because they didn't travel. So they're saying, how have they got it from Africa? It's so weird. This one made me laugh. Thankfully, loads of news channels said the same thing. Thankfully, and I'm reading off the statement here, the US and EU are leading the way to create millions of vaccine doses so you can all rest easy. Really? Some countries are now starting to screen people for this upon arrival. We've also got India has put plans in place now for lockdowns and closing borders by air and land. So this is pretty worrying, actually, the way they're going on already. But I had to listen to all the interviews of the doctors from the John Hopkins, of course. He's saying it was all the same lines as before. They've got these scripts. They said, thankfully, the vax is highly effective. Those concerns should get one immediately. Men who have the whole men and men line again. At this point, we are not advising putting travel restrictions in place, but we are reviewing this on an ongoing basis. The thing that made me laugh about that talking about they may have to put all these travel restrictions in place and lock down airports and land borders and all this all over again, because they're saying this is going to spread. They can't see a way to stop this, right? The thing that made me laugh is they're saying it's mainly in Africa. Well, who are the men that are coming into Europe on a day-by-day basis and getting the dinghies over to the UK and also going to the USA? Who are the men that are doing this? It's African men, like so many of them on a day-by-day basis. So, but it's against the human rights to stop anyone coming across the border seeking asylum. So it would just be ironic if, I mean, how this whole thing is, these things never make sense anyway. I'm sure you've looked into a lot of this stuff. It never makes sense anyway. There are fears today that without rapid funding for vaccines, this deadly virus could go global. This was the same line that 5 news media outlets said. All 5 of them said the exact same line. I wrote it down. All these media outlets. So again, it's the same playbook that we keep getting all the time. Hey, get scared, run out now and get your monkey, or they don't even call it monkey anymore. They had to rebrand it because when you say monkey, people were like, what? That sounds a bit weird. So now they've come up with this new name for it, Mpox. Shouldn't have said it on the video. But anyway, that's their new branding for it. And you see, they've done a whole branding campaign for it, the whole campaign around the whole thing. You know, this is just, it's just more of the same. So people will always say, Neil, are you going out to get your vax, one of these straight away? You're getting your double, triple. I'll be getting 0. 0. Anyone, right, if you are a man, that, as they say, a man that does with other men, like non-stop promiscuous, yeah, maybe you should go out and get one. But not me, not most other people, I would say. So that's it. And by the way, for everyone taking the Cashflow Blueprint, I dropped maybe 35 videos today, absolute massive amount of videos, so you can find them in the course. If you haven't done it yet, I've probably got 2 weeks left, maybe 3 at the most, before the course is all finished and edited and uploaded and everything. So I would highly recommend getting on it, especially for the price. It's ridiculous. Just go and have a look in the description below and you'll see the information page on it. But already getting tons of testimonials, so thank you for the testimonials. Just amazing testimonials of what people are creating already. And so many people are like, I'm going to leave my job. I'm leaving my job. I've already got the idea for what I'm going to do, and everything else. So that's it. Just a nice short stream today. Wanted to answer the question that everybody has been asking me about this whole lockdowns and everything. Do I think there's going to be lockdowns? Potentially. There could be. There might be. I wouldn't put it past them. I really wouldn't put it past them at the minute. You see how, because no one, I mean, some people resisted before, even though we knew that it was crazy. Some of this lockdown stuff was absolutely crazy. And I was actually speaking to my friend as well, and a couple of other teachers, and they were telling me that what they're dealing with the most in classrooms at the moment. If you're a teacher, please drop in the comments as well if you agree with this. They said the difficulty they're having is communication with students. They said they're really struggling to communicate, and the students are really struggling to communicate, the younger ones, because they didn't have that direct communication for several years. And now they're really struggling. They're being held back in their studies. See, there's so many problems. It wasn't just the lockdowns. I was going to end the video, but I'm still rolling. It wasn't just the lockdowns that caused issues with communication, massive mental health that we're seeing now. The UK has the worst mental health in the world. But what did I say about the funding of all the vax companies, right? There wasn't any money for it. So where did the funding come from? It came from the government. And people say, thank you to the government for funding all of this. The government didn't fund it. You funded it. Taxpayers funded it. It's still going to be paid back. So what did they do? They created all this new currency, not money, which then paid. It was just a massive pyramid scheme. All the money went up. If you were with the government, you knew the politicians, you could get all these, all that sort of stuff. You could get your handouts and, hey, I've got I need a contract for PPE. Yeah, $1 billion, 100 million. How much? Doesn't that stuff just cost pennies to make? Yeah, but I need my hundreds of millions for it. Okay, well, we're friends. I'll give you the contract. And then what do you get? You get massive amounts of inflation. Everything stayed the same, goods and services, except it was less because no one was working. And then all this new currency was created, and then it stole from people's savings because people's savings is now worth even less. It's just one big massive scam. It keeps going on and on and on. It's just a scam. That's just what you got to remember. Don't go rushing out to get your monkey jab. You know, not. That's what I would. I won't be rushing out to get one anyway. I can't actually tell people not to rush out and get one. That's misinformation. I'm not allowed. I'm not a medical professional. I retract what I just said. Oh, it's mad. The world we live in now is mad. All right. Nice short stream. Take care, guys. God bless. See you next time.